Hello, I'm a Greek geek because I'm 50% Greek and 100% a geek. Full disclosure with this movie, I don't really see why this movie had to be made. Like, really, it doesn't even really feel like a Star Wars movie. Really, it's just a collection of episodes from the Star Wars Clone Wars TV series and just added it into one big segment, and that's a movie. So that should give you a feel of what this movie is kind of like. In the first year of the Clone Wars, the Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems are fighting for control of the planet Christophsis. Anakin is assigned Padawan learner Ahsoka Tano, and they have to help rescue Jabba the Hutt's son. Yes, Jabba the Hutt has a son. I'll let you think about that for a minute. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi uses his limitless charm to try and broker a treaty between the Hutt clans and the Republic. Story is quite boring, frankly. I had a hard time getting invested into this story, and even after an hour and a half, I was finding myself bored. We have a whole new cast of voice actors to voice all the different actors. Christopher Lee and Samuel L. Jackson do reprise their roles as Mace Windu and Count Dooku, respectively. They didn't really do a good job, I felt. I don't really think they're giving their A game in this movie. Oh, and Anthony Daniels is C-3PO again as well. But yeah, all the voice actors, Matt Lanter, Ashley Eckstein, James Arnold Taylor, Tom Kane, etc., they all voice all the different characters. There's many other voice actors as well, and I think they do a good enough job. They do a pretty good job of capturing the same kind of voices as their movie counterparts, and that I was actually quite impressed with that. So this movie and the TV show does fill in the gaps of what happened in between episode 2 and 3, showing what was actually happening during the Clone Wars. So we see some of the battles. We see the Battle of Christophsis, we see a battle on Teth, and we learn more about more of the politics that's happening behind the scenes, like the Republic and the Confederacy trying to gain the trust and the allegiance of Jabba the Hutt, so that they have access to his trading lanes or whatever on the Outer Rim, and they're both competing, trying to get his allegiance. Anakin gets a Padawan learner, which makes sense for him. He's a Jedi Knight now, so naturally he should be teaching someone. Ahsoka Tano is a very well-received character. Pretty much everyone loves her, myself included, and she plays a very pivotal role in the Clone Wars TV series and with Anakin's fall to the dark side. Spoiler alert. Asajj Ventress was introduced in this movie as well. She was first introduced in the now non-canon The Clone Wars that was brought out in 2003. She was a character in that, and now they brought her from that into this. So she's now canon, and there's not that much to her in this movie. She's explored and expanded upon in the TV show, and I'm going to be saying that a lot in this review. Despite the clunky animation, I really did enjoy the battle scenes in this movie, despite the complete lack of battle tactics. For example, the Battle of Christophsis, the Republic thinks it's a good idea to rush enemy lines just so Obi-Wan Kenobi can get close and cut things apart with his lightsaber, and killing off many clone troopers in the process. And the CIS not staying behind the shield at first and not realizing there's artillery until it's too late. And don't even get me started on the Battle of Teth, just the Republic just trying to scale this huge mountain with their ATTEs and clone troopers, and it's just completely ridiculous, and I love it. Lightsaber duels, yeah, they're okay. They don't have the same fluidity as they do in the live-action movies. They're very clunky, very quick, and they just look strange. I will say that they do improve in the actual TV series as the animation and that gets better in the TV show. So this is the first Star Wars movie that doesn't have the same soundtrack as the live action movies. John Williams is very much missed in this. I do think they add a couple of scores that he's done previously into this, if I remember correctly. But Kevin Kiner does most of the music and themes for this movie, and they're pretty good. I enjoyed quite a few themes from it, and it has its own unique kind of style and feel. I particularly enjoyed like the Battle of Christophsis and the Battle of Teth, the themes that were playing during that. I really enjoyed them, and I'll include links to them in the description if you want to give them a listen for yourself. George Lucas said that the animation style that he was going for with this movie and TV show was like the stylized look of Japanese mangas and the, I'm going to try and pronounce this word, Super Mario Nation. I think that's how you say it correctly. There's a word that I never heard of before. Apparently it's the same kind of animation as what they did with the old Thunderbirds TV show. So something similar to that. It gets better as the TV show goes on, but for this, I really noticed that with this first outing with this kind of animation, it's really not that great. I can only recommend this movie if you are a really big Star Wars fan and you want to get the entirety of the Clone Wars experience. You want to know everything that happens in between episode 2 and 3. This movie is not that great, and this is coming from a huge Star Wars fan. There are parts of it that I enjoyed and I loved to death, but the majority of it, I found myself bored, and just the animation I didn't feel was that great in this first one. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, I think you're gonna have a really hard time watching this movie. It only goes for an hour and a half, but boy do you feel that hour and a half. So those were my thoughts on the Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie that should have been just a couple episodes in the TV show. As always, thank you for listening to me ramble on about a Star Wars movie for a few minutes. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.